Recording is on.
Oh, thank God. You're there. You there?
Yeah.
Boy, it's tough tough getting these sites to work. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? Oh,
Perfect.
okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Well,
So the other one
yeah.
was kind of freezing up. I don't know. I did check my own internet speed, and it's very
Yeah.
fast. I'm getting like
Right.
70.
Me too.
Oh,
Me
okay.
too. Yeah. So that one worked really well for Ellen Jones and I, and the recording was great. But okay, we'll go back to this and see see if we can get it done. Third
All
time's a
right.
miracle. Okay, here we go.
Right.
So welcome everybody. Today I'm joined with Will Tuttle. He's a world famous vegan activist, and I've seen his books. He's an author, a musician, and has traveled the world educating people about vegan. And I'm going to ask you a few questions today, Will, for the folks out there who are interested in being a vegan. Now, you and I have both been vegan for a long time. I've been vegan 26, almost 27 years now. And, raw food diet is really quite famous these days. And a lot of people are interested in the raw food diet. I myself was raw for a very long time. And I think it was great up to a point. And now I'm eating cooked food again. But I recently saw one of your interviews, and you were discussing raw foods. Uh, can you tell me a little bit about raw foods, and should people get, when they're thinking about being a vegan, should they get all caught up in this whole raw food world, or should they just be balanced and just eat a basic raw food diet? Are you there?
Yeah. 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 I hear you.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
well, I think it's a great question because there are definite advantages, I think, to eating less cooked food. But I will say that in my case, I've been a vegan now since 1980, so that's about 41 years. We eat up what most people would say a pretty high raw diet. You know, we have our breakfast, which is basically a smoothie. It's all raw. It's veggies and with a few fruits and nuts and seeds and things. A lot of it's from our garden. We have lots of greens growing in our garden. So, and then for lunch, we have a lot of fruits actually in our garden. We have 70 fruit trees that we've planted. So we have quite a few fruits. And so we have that. And then we usually have some rolled oats, like an oat something. And then dinner, we usually have something more salad. And then dinner, we have something more like vegetables and grains. So we probably, two-thirds raw, maybe I'd say. And I think personally, that's been good for me. I've been very healthy. I haven't, been to a doctor in like 45 years. And
And you
and
look young. I think
I
you look
never,
you look very youthful to me. You
yeah,
don't
oh, I
seem to
feel
you
great.
don't age
Right,
much. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I know it's
But
true. I haven't really worried about the things people worry about when they get older. I can still run around, work hard. I don't have aches and pains. I can do lots of exercise if I
yeah.
want, and I do usually every day. Some, yeah. So
Hmm. Yeah. But that was the thing with raw food diet, was that if you eat the raw food diet, you're going to look young forever and your skin is going to glow. And in my experience, up to a point that was true. And then actually eating the cooked food actually makes me look younger. Come to
yeah,
find out. So that was kind
I
of
think
weird.
it's an interesting thing. I think it's also the quality of the food you're eating, whether it's cooked or raw. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, when they eat cooked food, they start eating more junk food, more processed food. So we don't do that. My wife Madeline is really into, or she's Miss Organic, so we never eat anything that's not organic. And I think that's important because the world is awash now in glyphosate and
Right.
glyphosate or Roundup. And that's just a broad spectrum antibiotic that really wipes out your microbiome. And that
Yes.
microbiome is really responsible for your basic health, and not only your health, but also they're finding out now your mood. And so if
Right.
you have an unhappy microbiome, even if you're eating a totally vegan diet, but you're eating you're trying to save money and eat some non-organic food, and you're getting glyphosate, and then it's wiping out your healthy bacteria, then you're not going to be perhaps that happy and healthy down there in your microbiome. And that's connected with what's called the vagus nerve, which is responsible for a lot of the hormones, the so-called feel-good hormones like serotonin, where you just feel great and happy and grateful to be alive. And I think it's important, to cultivate those attitudes. But I think having a healthy body and a healthy community of organisms is important. So I think organic, unprocessed, whole foods, at least half maybe raw is probably a good idea. And but I think starch, starch is great. I mean, a healthy starch can really help. It's the energy. Carbohydrates are the energy that our bodies were designed to run on. So I think carbohydrates are great. So we eat, quite a bit of sweet potatoes, and some grains and things like that. But we have our own mill. We grind our own, like we grind it from scratch, and we do a lot of stuff from scratch. We don't buy processed foods. So, and I think with time, you don't have to do all this right at once. I think the most important thing is to have a good foundation for being healthy, which is a whole food, organic, plant-based way of eating, and then have a good ethical foundation for the reason why. For the main reason why I never did it really just to be healthy. I don't think that we come to this earth just to try to be healthy and not do anything else. I mean, being healthy is great. It's very important. We can't really do anything else if we're not feeling good and have plenty of energy and feel healthy. I mean, that's really helps a lot. But that's not our purpose. I think our purpose is much deeper. It's a spiritual purpose to contribute, to wake up, to
Yes.
help healing, to help the world to heal. And so I've
Yes.
seen a lot of raw foodists who, all they care about is their health, and they could care less about the environment or other people or animals or future generations or hungry people or slaughterhouse workers or
That's right.
all
That's
these
right.
other things. So I think keeping that straight is essential, and kind of doing it in a way for others. And then that's my thing. I think if we're compassionate and kind to others, then our own health is improved quite a bit. Oh, look at this! We get some nice looking food there all of a sudden.
Well, I put that up, Will, because the connection is not so great. I think if I keep the camera off. So, can you hear me okay now?
I hear you great. Yes.
Great. Okay. So yeah, I also, I mean, we have to talk about why the world really needs. I mean, people think that this vegan diet is sort of this, sort of Hollywood choice just to be extra healthy. But I think that people should try to understand that it's more than that. It's actually what humans need to fully evolve into to full humans, and that to engage your compassion and your empathy as a human with your heart. I think that this is sort of the key that really unlocks the door to being fully human. I mean, I really wanted to connect with myself and my heart and my emotions, and I just could not do that on a meat diet, even eating fish or even eating eggs. So I really wanted to connect with myself first and foremost, and then also be able to share that compassion through the world. And I think that so it's not just this cute little, well, I'll be healthier, I'll have better sex, I'll look better, I'll have better whatever. It's more profound and deeper than that, and it's really a critical point where we need to really make the shift towards evolving, because look at the world. I mean, do you see that we're really evolving? So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, Bobby, I think you're just absolutely correct about everything you're saying. And that's been one of the things I've tried to emphasize over the years, because there's such a emphasis in our society on the material level. Like we just
Yeah.
told that we were born and we'll die years. We got to get what we can, and we got to compete with each other, try to do the best to best partner and have the best house and outer things. And I think, as I've written about this in the World Peace Side, that this is really an artifact, this consumerist, materialistic live is an artifact of animal agriculture. We've been now imprisoning and killing animals by the millions for
Right.
thousands of years. And
Right.
so if you do that for thousands of years, you get so far away from your basic spiritual wisdom. And at this point,
Mm.
we're so far away. We don't. Most people are very disconnected from nature. They're not comfortable in nature. They're afraid of animals. They're afraid of themselves. They're afraid of
Right.
silence. They're
Yeah.
afraid of of all of basically their own mind and their own being. They don't even know who they are in the slightest. We're completely like just gullible children when it comes to spiritual and emotional maturity. Even
Right.
if we are running around in adult bodies, driving cars and having a high-paying executive, job or whatever, emotionally and spiritually we're extreme, I think, really for the most part very immature. And it's not really our fault. We're just raised in an economic system, an educational system, a religious system, and all the systems in our society are basically there to dumb us down in many ways and turn us into consumers and keep
Yeah.
us on a shallow level. And veganism, I think, is really this incredibly powerful key to dismantle not only animal agriculture, but to dismantle the whole shallow materialistic way of living that pervades our entire society, and go deeply into life and to see all beings as being interconnected.
Yeah. Will, are you
It
there?
is the source of everything. Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to. I'd
Yeah.
like to say that it's kind of Timothy. It's kind of the natural. People have heard of Timothy Leary, but it's kind of the natural way to tune in, turn on, and drop out. Really, in the most natural way, because you
Right.
you
Yeah,
know
that's interesting. Yeah.
I'm not
Mhm.
I'm not advocating uh, drugs or anything. I'm talking about natural life. I mean, you really do tune in and tune in, and you change. You definitely change. You're not going to be you wanting to bring your ghetto blaster to the beach. I mean, you're going to want to enjoy the
Right.
sea and the sound of the ocean, and
Right. Right.
you're not going to
Yeah,
need all of those things.
yeah, that's really true. I never thought of that, but that saying by Timothy Leary actually does encapsulate. Since I was never into drugs, so I never paid much attention. But
Neither was I.
but the idea of tuning, like critically connect with the deeper dimension of our own being, turning on, which means actually activating our true nature and connecting with the
Mm.
infinite energy that we are, and then dropping out, which is basically letting go of the attachments that we have to a system that's based on violence, domination, and exploitation and oppression of nature and of the sacred feminine dimension of life. And when we drop out of that, and that's actually what I did way back right after I graduated from college. I went on this walk with my brother. We just left, and we thought we'd try to walk all the way to California, and
Yeah.
we just anyway we did this long walk. But
Right.
it was a very deep experience of just basically leaving the world, and even though we
Right.
were still in the world, and I've never, in a sense, I really feel that I've never come back. i'm still
Right.
I'm still sort of on the outside looking in,
Good.
and I look at the insanity that goes on, and I can see these poor people around me have been so wounded. I mean, I was wounded too. I still am. We're all wounded by the system, but to be able to drop out of it,
Yes.
but that's not easy. You have to really work hard and spend hours and
Yes.
hours of contemplation and quieting the busy monkey mind and connecting with a true being. So I think veganism, that's part of veganism. I think it's not just this shallow, oh, I'm going to eat this or not eat that. It's really questioning all of the underlying narratives in our society that enslave animals, and not just animals, but human animals, because we're also enslaved. Most people don't realize it, how much we're all enslaved. And I think that's critically important. And that's
Yeah.
that's where the inner work comes in that you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's almost automatic with, in a way. With, I mean, it starts the process of your inner work, the vegan diet. I mean, I guarantee you will transform. If you're looking for transformation, you will transform, no doubt about it. And it just sort of
Yeah, I
natural
mean,
with this process.
I think that that can be true. I mean, it's very often is
Hmm.
true. I mean, I do notice quite a few people uh, say that when they go vegan, the weight falls off their shoulders. The basic
Yeah.
fight and flight response that most people live in all the time, just like either trying to get something or run away or attack. This
Yeah.
that's how most people live. It's how we're taught to live our lives. When we stop eating that fear and eating the violence of animal foods, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of that actually in dairy products and eggs. Don't just think giving up meat is important. I mean, you got to give up all
Right.
animal foods. Dairy is probably the worst in a way, but I think when we stop eating those foods and then look deeper into it and see the violence, and we're not participating in it, that can really, you're right, that can be a magic, a powerful. However, I will have to say that I still have, definitely found my path crossing a lot of people who have been vegan for quite a while, but still never really did the inner work and are filled, unfortunately, very often with anger and hatred, or
True.
with judgmental kind of stuff and unresolved childhood stuff. We've all been traumatized as kids, and so some of
Yeah.
that stuff is really heavy duty, and you need to
Right.
really do a lot of inner work. So it's not a magic bullet, but it's definitely, I would say, it takes away the obstacles, so you potentially can.
Mm.
It's I
Okay.
would say
Right. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. You're
you're
right.
in a
I
boat,
thanks
right?
for
If you're
correcting
not a
me. Yeah.
vegan, yeah,
Hmm.
if you're not a vegan, it's like you're in this boat,
Yeah.
you're just rowing and rowing, and you don't realize you've got this like rope and it's attached
Yeah.
to a shore, and no matter how hard you go, you're just not going to get there. But then if you act going vegan, you actually, it's like you use the rope, do it. You go to the other shore, but that doesn't necessarily mean everybody will. I mean,
R-
everybody could, but
Good point.
well, they have to do
Yeah.
give.
Yeah. Very good point. That's true. I should say I'm speaking for myself, right? Uh,
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, right.
the other thing that is interesting for me uh, is I'd like to talk to the guys out there about uh, the sexual aspect of it, because if you're interested in having a good sex life, in my opinion, hey, this is the way to go. I mean, hands down, no doubt about it. I mean, if if you want consistency in your love life, I mean, I've got 27 years experience here. I mean, and I'm speaking for myself, of course, but the vegan diet is your way, in my opinion, is the way to go as far as that. Can you
Right.
talk a little bit about that? Well,
Well, yeah,
I mean,
no, you're right. I mean, there's no question about it. It's fantastic. I mean, there's everything works the way it's supposed to, and
hmm
it's just I don't think when I read about people, needing all these lubricants or Viagra or this or
yeah,
that and other and all the problems, and I mean, it's just pathetic, really. But no, you're right. I mean, it's just totally not an issue, and I think there's more to life than that.
yeah,
But the fact that that people, there's so much suffering in the world around that. I mean, our society makes a god out of, in a way, out of sexuality, and it gets very perverted, and all kinds of projections fly around, and then people have so many hang-ups and difficulties, and women become objects very
right,
easily, and I mean, everybody becomes an object, really. But that's again based on animal agriculture's fundamental thing of turning everything into an object to be exploited. And so I think, ultimately with spirituality, it's really about love. It's about love and appreciation and kindness and sensitivity and tenderness and giving. And that's really
Yes.
what veganism is about. And I think any healthy relationship, whether it's sexual or not, has those components, and that's what gives the real meaning and the beauty to everything. And if people try to not, if people don't have that, and they try to bandage it over with some kind of sexual thrill of some kind, they're going to be disappointed. I mean, it's not going to work, and especially if they're not vegans, because I think in that case, there's so many things don't work right, and it's really
Well,
too bad. It's kind of ironic, the idea of the macho male, who's eating all this meat and has all the saturated fat and cholesterol and can't even get an erection. I mean, that's very common.
yeah.
So
I know. I was that way in 18, 19, when I was 18, 19, 20, and yeah, I had a problem in my prime, so-called prime years, but I noticed that my behavior over the years has become less really neurotic and sort of this aggressive, but it's more it's more how do I say, it's more in line with making love with the other person than it is
yeah,
having an experience by yourself.
right.
And so I think vegan has definitely made my physical body more more of a vehicle of
Hmm.
connection
Right,
rather than a vehicle of aggression, I should
right,
say.
right, exactly.
So
Or of sort of self-centered aggrandizement, which very often happens. And yeah, no, it's true.
yeah.
To me, veganism is love. That's really what it is. It's not
Hmm.
this some kind of flaky idea. It's very grounded, but it's loving kindness, and not just theoretically, but practically. So I'm going to not eat animals because I love them, and I love the hungry people who are starving because and love simply means caring about and having a sense of benevolence and kindness and so forth. So it's
Yeah.
a natural human thing. It's not anything. I mean, it is spiritual, but it's within all of us. We have this capacity, and I think so in veganism as love, it's basically the more it's that's why I think veganism is infinite. Some people say
Hmm.
they're vegan and it's like they're finished. Oh, I'm done. I'm vegan. I don't have to do anymore. I'm there. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm not the problem. Everybody else is the problem because they're not vegan. And I always try to turn it around and say you're never done. Don't ever think you're finished.
Right.
Veganism as an expression of embodying love as a practice. It's veganism as a practice. So it's like a piano. Like I play the piano. That's what I do. So I can't ever
Yes.
say that I'm like a perfect piano player. I mean, you can always be better, right? You can always
Right.
be a better lover. You can always be a better human being. There's no limit. I mean, we can look at the Buddha or Jesus or whoever the great beings are that we think of, and try to emulate them. But even we can go beyond that. Even I mean, potentially. So I think the whole idea is to see that what we're talking about with veganism is really an aspiration to be a loving being and inclusive. And that means in every little thing we're doing, whether we're washing dishes or working in the
Yeah.
garden or talking to other people or having relationships, the nitty gritty of our life, basically. That's what I think
Yeah.
is really exciting.
I,
Yeah.
I agreed. You choose to open yourself up, and it's not just about food. It's not just about your physical body. You choose to really open yourself up,
Yeah. Hmm.
and you're not going to be what do you call it? You're not going to be a sissy man. I mean, I definitely don't see myself as a sissy man
No,
being a
no, no.
vegan at all. In fact, I see myself the opposite. But
Right.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I
Yeah.
see myself as a compassionate person who really people. I walk into a room and people say, why is this guy so friendly? What is wrong with this guy? Why does he want to connect with people? It just happens. It's just you just open up and you want to connect with the world. You want to connect with the flowers. You want to connect with the sea. You want to connect with nature. I mean, you start
Yeah.
gardening. You start doing all of these things and
Right.
gravitating towards nature, which is what when you're eating meat, I mean, I really remember, Will, when I was in the early days when I was eating a few times when I would have a piece of meat, just just to try things out, just to see, uh, just a bite of meat when I was vegan, and I could see, I could feel that the heart actually whoosh, just closed right off. I mean, it was so weird. I could just feel this like dark cloud moving over the heart. Are you with me?
I hear you. That's very interesting. I never did that. When I stopped eating meat, I never
Unbelievable.
did it again. But I'm not surprised. I mean, that's very interesting.
Unbelievable. And I
Wow.
couldn't wait, Will. I could not wait to get back. I said, "Oh my gosh, I've got to fast. I've got to
Right.
I've got to
Cleanse.
drink
Yeah.
water. I got to get this meat out of my body so I can
Right.
feel God again, or
Yeah. Well, I think
So
it's really true. The spiritual traditions of the world pretty much unanimously, and if you go back to the original teachings, tell us not to eat meat, not to cause suffering to other living beings,
right.
and emphasize the importance of purification. My own
Yes.
background is mainly in Buddhism. I also studied a lot of Taoism, Confucianism, Hinduism, Vedanta, Jainism, the Eastern traditions, but also actually some
Yes.
quite a bit in Western. But if you go deeply into them and the actual practitioners, they know this. They understand that you're never going to make a lot of practice in actually growing spiritually, which means growing as a human being and being creative, powerful,
Mm.
wise, and fully fulfilling a potential
Hmm.
with eating toxic junk, eating misery and violence and despair, and just shutting down the ability to make connections. So I don't care about pigs. I don't care about that cow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's completely the opposite of true power and true harmony, joy, and truth. It's a lie, and it's really demonic. I mean, being in a culture where people are forced to eat animal foods, a demonic culture that's going to have a lot of conflict and war and oppression and violence. And we're born
Yes.
into that. So I think it's important to understand that and not just
Right.
pretend something else. I mean, it really is a huge amount of violence that just permeates the society. If we were born pigs and chickens, no one would tell us that. We would know that, experiencing it. We're born as a superior species, and we just and dominate. You don't care what happens. We don't this tremendous deceit and violence, oppression and exploitation. By millions of times a day, we're impregnating these female animals on what they call racks, and then we're babies and and killing their babies, killing them, deceitful and completely depraved and unnecessary because there's no healthy to do all that. So people have to and compassion and caring with just to live here if they're going to keep eating animal foods.
Yes. Right.
It's really to get a clear view, absolutely uh, hideous animal agriculture is as an and no support of any kind whatsoever. Otherwise, not only
Yeah. And it's ironic because the body doesn't even thrive on that food. So it's so
no,
ironic. It's so ironic. It doesn't even
yeah,
thrive. I mean, you're not even going to really procreate very well that way. I mean, look at
right,
India.
exactly, right,
I-
yeah, yeah,
In
no, that's true point, right,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 I know. It's just a matter of, saturated fat and cholesterol. I mean, they just clog things up. It's acidifying, it's inflammatory. Our body, as soon as we eat that, man, here we go again. Hope he doesn't do that again. But it's miraculous. It'll do the best it can. Just, all right, if that's what you're going to eat, I'll do the best I can. But we keep, and most people eat that food just out of ignorance. They don't know any better. And out of fear, a lot of people, most people know they shouldn't eat
Yeah.
ethically, health wise, for the environment, society. for their own spirituality, and they do it anyway because they're afraid. It's just fear. It's
Hmm.
the today I was talking to Madeline. There's an old saying in India, it's walking home at night and they see shadows. They suddenly get terrified, and they see a snake, and they're like, "Oh no!" and they're panicking,
Hmm.
and then they realize it's actually just a coil.
It's a
And
what?
so it's a coil of rope. It's just
Oh,
rope, but
right.
they thought it was a snake.
Yeah.
So they're freaking out and they're terrified. There's going on. Everybody's afraid of germs. They're afraid of this. They're afraid of each other. They're afraid of all
Yeah.
this. It's being afraid of a snake. It's not even a snake. It's just a rope. And
Right.
people are afraid they're not going to get enough protein. They're afraid they're not going to get calcium. They're afraid they're going to be liked by their friends if they don't eat. It's all a bunch
Yeah.
of people thinking that when it's not. It's just a rope. You're going to get plenty of protein. You're going to have friends. You're going to
Yeah.
get stop.
It's going to be fine.
Open your eyes. What it
You're
is.
not
It's not a snake. It's just a rope.
you're not going to
Yeah.
get a deficiency. Garbanzo
No.
beans are just fine. Kidney beans are good. I mean,
Oh,
it works. I mean, eat Mexican
right.
food, eat vegan Mexican food, whatever. I mean,
Can't go wrong. Yeah. Indian food, Chinese food, Mexican food, Middle Eastern food, Caribbean food. They're all
yeah,
basically vegan cuisines, and people have lived for people in the world live a high complex carbohydrate, low protein. I mean, you get plenty of protein in plant-based foods, much higher quality.
well,
So you can't go wrong, really.
I feel like some of the people listening would probably ask the question about tofu or soy protein,
Yeah,
but what's your feeling on that?
I think it's basically the main problem with soy is that
GMO?
two things. One is it's GMO. They spray most of it with glyphosate, so I would never eat it if it's not organic. So make sure it's
Right.
organic. Number two is they process the heck out of it. They do all this processed stuff. So
Yeah.
I would eat soy in moderation. It's nothing bad. It's a bean, and
Yeah.
beans in general are high powered. They have more oil and they have more than say vegetables and grains. So they're pretty high powered foods. That's why they use them up cows and pigs and chickens, because they have they're the ones that eat all the
Mm,
soy, for goodness sakes. They force
right.
them. Anyone who eats dairy is eating huge amounts of soy, obviously. But I would soy is a good food. I mean, I would recommend
Yeah.
edamame, which are the beans, or recommend maybe tofu or tempeh. Tempeh is basically minimally processed. Organic tempeh, organic tofu, minimal processing. They're just basically almost completely whole foods. Tempeh is a completely whole food. But you don't need a lot of protein anyway. I mean, a protein load, unless you're going to the gym every day and lifting huge amounts of weight, you're going to
Yeah.
get enough protein from your grains and your beans and your starchy foods, and vegetables have huge amounts of protein too. So I think
Yeah.
that's the key is to, if soy's not your enemy, the most important thing is don't overdo it. It's like almonds or something, nuts. You wouldn't just sit down to a whole plate full of almonds or
Yeah.
walnuts or something. So just, you can have a little bit, have some, it's fine, but make sure you're getting plenty of carbs. Carbohydrates are your good friend. That's clean burning fuel. Carbohydrate means
Yeah.
carbon basically they burn to carbon dioxide and water.
Mm,
Hydro means water. So there's no residue, there's no ash, there's no acid. That's why fruits, vegetables, and grains are made mainly from carbohydrates. So they're clean. As soon as you start getting high protein, you've got nitrogen or sulfur in there making nitric acid or sulfuric acid. And so you don't want too much of that. The body
hmm.
has to deal with it. So it's really good. Just eat basic whole foods and don't worry about getting overly consuming. And we have such a protein kind of fetish in our society. People who go vegan think, "Oh man, I got to eat lots of peanut butter." If they're low on energy, they think
Yeah.
they're not getting protein, which is ridiculous. It's usually not the problem. Usually they're low on energy because they're cleaning out. And that's something that's important to remember. When you start moving to a vegan diet, you start cleaning out. You might not feel as well for a while because your body's cleaning out, and that's good. What is good?
Yeah.
People run to a doctor and they want to have some pills because they have a sore throat and a runny nose and they have diarrhea, whatever, because they're cleaning out. Just let it
Right.
happen, and the doctor will give you some stop it, and then you'll just make you sicker in the long run. Stop it. Our whole medical system is based on mostly delusions of health. They don't want
Yeah.
healthy people. They don't make any money on healthy people. I've been healthy, and they've made no money on me in the last 45 years. So we shouldn't go to a doctor unless it's really an emergency. I don't go. Way. But I think, I haven't had health insurance. I think the best thing is to take responsibility for the quality of your health with your mind. The mind is the most important thing with being healthy. I mean, food is important, but your mind and exercise, those are the big three things. And the quality of your relationships. Take responsibility for your information. Don't, get rid of your television. I mean, television will make you sicker than anything. Throw away
Yes.
the television, throw away all this yeah, toxic media that people, toxic
Yeah.
Hollywood movies. I would never watch a Hollywood movie anymore. I don't think. I mean, they're full of fear and domination, exploitation, and for the most part, you got to take responsibility for what you're consuming. What we take in. We take in food, water, media, relationships, nature. Make it good. Eat healthy food. Have healthy, happy, harmonious, loving, kind, understanding relationships. Get plenty of fresh air and sunshine.
Yeah.
Have your thoughts be filled with gratitude and creativity. How you can make a world a better place and how you can actually contribute to being part of the solution here. Those are the foundations for health. It's got nothing to do with going to authorities, go to power, and have them tell us what to think is happening in the world. They don't know it. I mean, it's a slave system, and now we have to
No,
understand that. So
we need our
yeah,
bodies and our minds working to be able to serve one another. If we can't have our own unit working, we can't serve one another and build up humanity. We have to be healthy. We're actually doomed if we don't figure this out. You know, uh,
that's a good
fa-
point, right?
fast enough. I mean, look at what's happening now. So I hope that people will be encouraged to think that this is a good time to really think about starting to get healthy and
Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely. This is a really important time. I mean, everybody's getting challenged right now. So
yeah,
this is the time. If you're not vegan already, go vegan. If you are vegan, go whole food, organic, and then bring in the meditation, time in nature, being creative, do some music or art or yoga or writing or something to contribute and um, really celebrate. We have to. There's an effort to try to squelch the natural we have to bond with each other, to celebrate, to express ourselves, to laugh and
yes,
smile with each other and connect. And so, personally, it's important to refuse to comply with any kind um, of enslavement of humanity, because if we do, we'll just become like cows and pigs and chickens, and we'll be completely um, uh, exploited like livestock.
right,
And that's the thing, as we sow shall we reap. So that's why it's so important now, I think, for people to really stop eating animal foods and
yeah,
be, like Gandhi said it, be the change you want to see in the world. Don't, we want to have a bunch of happy, free, celebrate societies on this planet. We can't be imprisoning millions of animals in
yeah,
flesh.
yeah,
That's never going to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
ha- yeah. Have you heard that theory that that vegan is being pushed as sort of some sort of like conspiracy by the gov as some sort of. Have you heard that theory?
Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, like Bill Gates is promoting,
Yeah,
investing
yeah,
in veganism. It's not vegan. What they're doing is industrialized uh,
yeah,
factory food,
yeah,
because they're investing in GMO uh, technology. They're funding the
yeah,
so-called green revolution, which is basically taking out of the system and just using petrochemicals and growing everything in petrochemicals,
yeah.
herbicides, fungicides, and then they
Right.
take that stuff and they take it into a factory. They make some kind of factory out of it. There's no animal in it, but it's toxic and it's
Like
unhealthy.
Soylent Green.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a complete farce. I think people,
Yeah.
we need to grow as much as possible. Grow your own food, support
Yeah.
local people and local farmers markets, organic healthy food, organic healthy relationships and energy. You can have get your own energy from the sun or something like that. Try to instead of centralizing, we should be decentralizing. That's the key. So
Yeah.
decentralize, get more grassroots empowered. They're trying to centralize everything. They want
That's
control over
right.
the food, over the information, over our they want to track us everywhere, just like we track livestock.
Right.
So it's important to resist. Don't go into that.
Yes.
Don't buy the lies, the deceptions that they're spewing on
Right.
mass media.
I know. I know. We've got a really We've
This
got
is
a really interesting
yeah,
road ahead. Let's.
we do. Yeah, we do. You're right.
I mean,
You're right. We do.
Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're. Can we? Where I'm at right now, my battery is. Can we wrap it up? I'm gonna edit this last part, and then we'll wrap it up, and then I'll stop the recording, and then you and I can chat for a few minutes after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should wrap
Okay.
it up. I need to get going
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, but that's good. So, you want to ask one last question, or want me to just make one last closing comment? Or
Yeah. So in closing, Will, do you have anything to say for the folks out there and in the times that we're living in here with where we're headed?
I think these, there's an old saying that was, I guess, it was said by Thomas Paine. These are the times that try men's souls. These really are challenging times. And I think veganism is more important than ever because it goes to the root of the problems that we're having. And the whole idea is loving kindness and compassion and caring for ourselves and for others and for animals, especially, and for other human beings and for the earth, for future generations. The Native American idea of caring about 7 generations in the past and 7 generations in the future.
Mm,
I mean, that's what we're talking about. Don't do things just out of fear for right now. Think of the
mm,
bigger picture and live our lives. We should really be living our lives, I think. Uh, as vegans, the spirit of veganism is questioning authority, questioning the official narratives,
mm.
and responsibility for the ripples that radiate from our life into the world. So do the best we can that the ripples that radiate from our life be ripples of kindness and caring and courage and health and kindness and freedom. That's it. So I think
Yes.
veganism is the key, but deep veganism, not just sort of shallow thing where you just do whatever Bill Gates says. Deep
Yes.
veganism, where we question everything, even our own thoughts, and take time to connect with nature. That's really important.
Yeah. And I do believe what Will is saying they're not just words. I mean, I as a person who's lived it now and seen myself transform over the years, I know that these are not just words. These are real concepts that can happen in your life, and
Right.
so
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
it's not just some Hollywood fad, So okay, well,
Exactly. Yeah.
Will,
Thank you.
fantastic. I'm honored to to connect with you, and I've wanted to you know to be able to say something out there in the world myself about vegan. I haven't really done much of that, so thanks for giving me the opportunity, and I hope
Great.
we can do it again. And ladies and gentlemen, Will Tuttle, thank you so much for being on the program today. And
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. If you want to stay in touch with us, just go to worldpeacediet.com or willtuttle.com. You can see all of the videos, lectures, my wife's cooking videos we have in food preparation, and our trainings that we have. We have an upcoming summit online. Might want to check that out. It's actually called the Worldwide Vegan Summit for Truth and Freedom. So I think we just do the best we can, each one of us, to stay in touch with our true nature and then connect with each other and work together to make a better world. Thanks a lot.
Will, Will, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording, Will. Okay.